Okay, hello everyone again. Today I have Volkswagen Passat 2-liter TDI Blue Motion technology with the 2-liter common rail diesel engine, and the engine code is CFFA. The engine has come with the EGR valve malfunction DTC code stored in the memory, and now we are going to investigate this code together. Okay, let's do it together. CFFA engine. So we have got, we have got P0403 or 00, and it says it's passive or sporadic, and exhaust gas recirculation circuit. So this is the full code we have got in the memory. Let's physically or manually test this circuit and see what value we have from the EGR valve position sensor itself. Okay, this is the wiring diagram for the EGR valve, and as you can see, this is the ECU, and this is the EGR valve position sensor, and this is the EGR valve actuator. So we have got full for the EGR valve position sensor, and let me explain that pins which are responsible for which wire and what duty. So the pin 1 is 5-volt reference voltage supplied by the ECU. Pin 3 is the ground side of the variable resistor or the EGR valve position sensor, and pin 5 here, and that is the signal wire from the EGR valve position sensor to the ECU and connected at connector A, pin 57, to the ECU. So now here, so we are going to check the reference voltage supplied to the sensor by the ECU. So we are going to check at pin 1 and pin 3. So positive lead of the scope meter or voltmeter will be on pin 1, and negative lead or black lead of the voltmeter or scope meter will be on pin 3 at the sensor. So sensor will be connected to the harness, and ignition will be on, so we will have 5-volt reference. So after that when we had 5 volt reference voltage, we are going to check between the signal wire, which is pin number 5, and ground wire, which is pin number 3 at the sensor. So positive lead is going to be on pin 5, and negative lead or black lead of the scope meter or voltmeter will be on pin 3. So connector will be connected to the harness and to the wiring harness. Engine will be idling, and we should have 2 volt at the signal wire, at this wire. And then so after that, so if we go to the next page, so here, so as you can see, pin 25 at the A connector, the ECU pin 25 at the A connector, and that is going to be 25. That is going to be the supply voltage, which is shared by other sensor as well. This is, as you can see, pin 25 connector A at the ECU. So, and that is shared by the EGR valve reference voltage here and connected to pin number 1, which is the 5 voltage reference voltage supplied to the EGR valve position sensor by the ECU. So, and here, as you can see, that's output of the ECU ignition on. We will have 5 volt. Yeah, as we measure here. So number 1 at the sensor, pin number 1 at the sensor is connected to pin number 25 at the ECU. So that's, we had 5 volt here. Now, so pin 53 at A connector at the ECU here, and that is the constant ground. It means it's not changing at all whatever the ignition is on or off. And that A53 or connector A pin 53 at the ECU is connected to pin number 3 at the sensor here. Pin number 3. That's here. And this ground is shared by other sensor as well. As you can see, pin number 3, and I'm going to take, that's 53. So as we took them, as we explained, and that should be 0 when we connect the black lead or the negative lead of the voltmeter to a good ground, and positive to pin number 3 or pin 53 at the ECU. So we should have 0 voltage, 0 volt. So here at connector A at the ECU, pin 57, which is connected to pin 5 at the sensor here. So as you can see here, that's this one, pin 57 connector A at DC, and that's connected to pin 5 at the sensor. So this is input to the ECU from the sensor, as you can see here. So when we take the value from the sensor, either if we take the value at the sensor connector or at the ECU connector, that's going to be the same. Only will be different if we have here value or we did not have here. So now we are going to take the value at the sensor connector, which is pin number 5. So here, pin number 5, which is the signal wire connected to UC at P57. For example, if we take the value here and we take the value here, that's going to be the same, because this is one wire. There is no any splice or any junction or conjunction or anything here. So that's going to be the same. So with the engine, so with the ignition on, engine off, we should have 1 volt here. We should have 1 volt here. So when the engine is idling and at pin number 5 at the sensor, or pin 57 at A connector at the ECU, we should have 2 volts, and that is going to be the input signal or input to the ECU from the sensor. Okay, as you can see, the red back probe is probe to the supply to the reference voltage pin number 1 at the EGR wall position sensor connector, and the black back probe pin is connected to pin 3 at the connector, and also the blue one is connected to pin 5 at the connector. So here, I'm not sure whether you are able to see or not. So this is 1, and on the top here, on the top connector, it's 2. The bottom one, this one again, the bottom line, it's 3, the black probe, which is connected to pin 3, and on the top again, that's number 4, which is empty. There is no any connector, and on the bottom left and this side, the blue back probe is connected to pin 5, which is the signal voltage. So here at top right corner is pin 2, which is the signal voltage of the EGR valve actuator or the EGR valve, or EGR valve motor, and on the top left hand side, top left hand side, is pin 6, which is the supply voltage of the EGR valve motor. So this is pin 1, which is responsible for voltage reference 5 volt. I have connected the voltmeter to this, so the red lead of the voltmeter, but I'm using scope meter, so the yellow number 1 channel is connected to this one, and the ground lead of the scope meter is connected to this one, to number 3. As you can see here, we have got 5 volt, a solid voltage of reference voltage. So the connection between 1 and 3 is okay. Now we are going to move over or exchange the yellow channel, this one, this one, this is the yellow channel, to pen 5, and the black lead of the scope meter will remain on the 3. Okay, I have moved over the scope meter yellow channel, or number 1, or the red lead of the voltmeter, whatever is easy to say to you. So to pin number 5 at the EGR valve position sensor connector, and the 3 still remained on the pin number 3. And as you can see, with the ignition on, we have 0.88 volts. So the manufacturer specification told or mentioned that we should have 1 volt with the ignition on, and signal voltage from pin 5 at the EGR valve position sensor, we should have 1 volt. So far we have got 0.88. So now I'm going to start the engine and leave the engine idling and take the value here, whether we can have 2 volt, as the manufacturer specifications says that we should have 2 volt while the engine is idling from the signal wire value. Okay, as you can see, we have EGR valve position signal value, ignition on engine of 0.88 volts. Now I'm going to start the engine and leave it idling, and you watch the value of the EGR valve position signal wire, whether it is changing or is not. Okay, now the engine is idling. The signal voltage value drops back to 0.79. I'm not sure what's the engine temperature right now. I'm going to give you the engine temperature and then see. Okay, as you can see, the coolant temperature is 113. It's approximately 45 degrees of Celsius. So 113 Fahrenheit equals to 45 degrees of Celsius. And that is the voltage that we have on the scope meter. 52.5 degrees of Celsius, and as you can see now, the EGR valve position sensor signal voltage is 0.83. It was about it had reached to about 1.97 and volts, 1.97, and then suddenly drops to 0.83. As you can see now, the coolant temperature is 127.4 Fahrenheit, which equals 129.2. So it's 129.2 right now, and it equals 54 degrees of Celsius, and we have got 0.83 volt output voltage from the EGR valve position sensor signal wire. So when we had the engine from cold starting, the EGR valve position sensor signal voltage was approximately 179, and then as the engine coolant temperature increased to about 40 degrees of Celsius, and the output voltage from the EGR valve position sensor from the signal wire also increased and reached up to 2 volts. When the engine temperature has reached 40 degrees of Celsius, and the signal wire voltage suddenly drops to 0.83 volts. So as you can see right now, the engine temperature is 136.4 Fahrenheit, so that's going to be approximately around 60 or 58 or something like that, but we still have the EGR valve position signal voltage 0.83. So I suspect the EGR valve position sensor signal output signal, because when we started the engine at the beginning it was okay, it nearly reached to 2 volts. When the engine temperature reached 40 degrees of Celsius, and the voltage then suddenly dropped back to 0.83. So now I'm going to increase the engine RPM and see if there is any change in the signal voltage. So the engine RPM at 2000 RPM. Now as you can see, the EGR valve position sensor signal voltage has gone up to 2.24. Now I'm going to decrease the engine RPM and you watch changing in the signal voltage. As you can see, we still have 2 volts of EGR valve position sensor signal voltage. So we are going to observe for a bit and see if the signal voltage remains at same level or at same value, or either it will be decreased and will be dropped back to 0.83 volts. Okay, and this is the EGR cooler or the EGR valve actuator uh, uh, pens layout. So this is pen number 1, which is 5 volt reference voltage supplied by the ECU. This one, as you can see, this one, and this is pen 3. That's the EGR valve position sensor connected to the ground side. So 5 volt reference voltage is supplied by the ECU and connected through this pen to the ground. So 5 is the signal wire. This 5 is the signal wire, and back to the ECU. 6 is the EGR valve actuator supply voltage from the ECU, and that's all the time source voltage or battery voltage. So 2 is the ground side of the EGR valve actuator. So this is the actuator is controlled by this wire or this pens. So that's the ground side of the actuator is controlled by the ECU. So pen 1 5 volt reference, pen 3 is the this is the second one is pen 3. Pen 3 is the ground side of the reference voltage, 5 volt reference. Pen 5 is the signal wire to the ECU. Pen 6 is the supply voltage of the EGR valve actuator, and pen 2 is the ground side of the EGR valve actuator. So once again, pen 1 5 volt reference, pen 3 the EGR valve position sensor ground wire. Pen 5 is this one EGR valve position sensor signal wire back to the ECU. Pen 6 is the EGR valve actuator source voltage or battery voltage supplied by the ECU, and pen 2 is the ground side of the EGR valve actuator. So now I'm going to install the new EGR valve, the EGR cooler. So there are 4 screws, one here and one here, one here, one here. So these 3 are 1, 2, 3 are easy to remove, but for this one you need to dismount the diesel particulate filter from the turbo and move that little bit backward, and then you will have access to remove this one as well or install this one as well. So there are there are 2 pipes connected to this one. This one from the inlet, from the exhaust manifold, and this one back to the inlet manifold, and gases flow to the inlet manifold or the back to the engine to burn out again. Okay, we have installed the new EGR cooler, and now I'm going to clear the fault code. So engine code C CFFA. Yes. Okay, I'm going to clear the treble cord. Yes. Okay, check again treble cord. No treble cord is, or no treble cords or existed. So now we are going to start the engine. So I'm going to start the engine, and the engine is running smooth and nice. Thank you.